Hi guys, welcome to Cheryl's Home Cooking. So let's get started. Today what I'm going to show you is how I make my boneless pork chops served with my apple raisin sauce. It's super good. So let's get started. I have 4 boneless pork chops that I salt and peppered and I'm browning on both sides. So I have my burner on medium-low. For my apple raisin sauce to go on my boneless pork chops, I have 2 Granny Smith apples that I peeled, cored, and I also cut into chunks. I have 1/4 cup of raisins, 1 cup of brown sugar, and I'll be placing 4 tablespoons of butter in my saucepan. I have my burner on medium-high. I'll place 4 tablespoons of butter in my saucepan. To the 4 tablespoons of butter, I'll be placing my 2 Granny Smith apples. I placed some lemon juice on top of my apples so that they wouldn't turn brown. Now I'll place in my 1 cup of brown sugar. So it's probably about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. I just coated the apples so that they wouldn't turn brown. Now I'll place in my 1/4 cup of raisins. Mix it around. And I'll let this simmer until the apples are nice and tender. Once the apples are nice and tender, then I'll remove them from my pan. I'll place my pork chops in my casserole dish and place it in my 350-degree oven with some of the sauce on top. So still letting it brown on the other side, a few more minutes. And you can see the sauce starting to come to a boil on the side. I have my burner on medium-low because I just want this to simmer. Now this is optional. I'll place about a teaspoon of cinnamon in. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Mix it around. My pork chops are ready, so I'll turn my burner on. I'll place them in my casserole dish. They smell good. So now that I browned my pork chops on both sides, you'll place this in your 350-degree oven for about a half an hour because you want to make sure that the pork chops are fully cooked inside. Now my sauce is done. I'll take a little of this sauce and then place it on top of my pork chops and leave a little off to the side and use it as a dipping sauce for the pork chops. So now I'll place a little on top. Get some of the juice. Now doesn't that look good? So now I'll place some aluminum foil on top and into the oven it goes. And the rest of this sauce I'll use it for on top of my pork chops for the dipping sauce. The apples are nice and tender. I want to give it a try. So I get some of the juice, the apple, and the raisins. The raisins are nice and plump. That's going to be really good on the pork chops. So I'll just put some Plastic wrap on top, place it off to the side, and wait for my pork chops to come out of the oven. So now it's time to take my pork chops out of the oven, and I'll put some on my plate and try it. I'll add a little bit of salt. I'll add a little bit of pepper. Now doesn't this look good? Look at how good that sauce looks on the pork chop. Serve it with a side of potatoes. So now I'll take a slice. Take the pork chop, a raisin, and the apple. Look at how nice and tender that apple is. That's the perfect bite. So now I'll give it a try. Nice and sweet. Goes great with the mashed potatoes. I highly recommend making this recipe. Well, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Cheryl's Home Cooking, and watch me make my boneless pork chops with my apple and raisin sauce. It's really good. Give it a try. I'll see you guys next video. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Cheryl's Home Cooking. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video. Bye-bye.